Boom. We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. This is Friday, September 3rd, in the middle of the market cycle right now. We had a beautiful week here. For those of you that joined in on the Star Atlas Fund that we were going over in the private den for the last 3 weeks, over a 30x from the IDO. I saw one or two of you who had invested in the channel. Some of you, I think one of you said you only invested $60. It was now worth like 8 grand. So congratulations. That's what asymmetry looks like. Heads I win, tails I can only lose a little. It was a wonderful week. Because of that, again, I really think the highlighting of this thesis through these ideas, that kind of consistent, replicatable process that so many people are interested in. How do you make an extraordinary amount of money? And by doing something kind of consistent and average to some degree. So we're going to spend probably the next hour going over ideas in the market. We're going to go through all the main leaders of the market to date. We're also going to leave the end of the episode for some thoughts and some questions. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is probably start, let's actually start with Bitcoin today. And we'll go from there. I think it's going to make it relatively easy. Okay, so boom, BTC share. There we go. Okay, what's fun about this? Well, we're right. First off, I feel very confident that we are right. The bull market is going to continue. It is going to go probably to around $120,000, $140,000 before peaking out. Probably around December. This is going to be my rough guess for the date. Although I don't really like picking dates. I think time is one of the harder things to predict than volatility. We know volatility will happen, but when exactly is a harder thing to try to manifest the knowledge of. So the other day, one of the strong indicators was we got stuck around our trading range, and then we started to form this rising gradient bottom channel through the box here. This is actually a really bullish signal for Bitcoin. And on this last final stage, right around the corner of this circle, this was where I believe the breakout took place. Now this breakout actually took place around a few other areas. If I wanted to, I could probably even like hone in on it a little bit here. I could do it with a secondary drawing tool, just as kind of, I guess, it's always good to leave little notes for ourselves. But this area right here, which I'll highlight in red, this is where I believe we broke out and above the top of the trading range here. So we are in free form mode now. We are going to go into price discovery almost in every single asset. We have seen it across the board, but again, the important part here is this final breakout of the VPVR. So as you can see, there's this big gap between 40 and 44,000, and we effectively went from this area and broke right to the top of that 44,000. And as soon as we never closed below that, we made a higher low, and we've made a higher low again here. Hugely bullish indicators, 1, 2, 3. Each one of these steps is extremely important. So one of the reasons why we use the trading ranges isn't necessarily to look at the day over day price structure so much as it is to understand the macro perspective. For those of you in the private group, you'll notice that there's a lot of people that like to talk about the daily price movements. Oh, what's it going to do in the 15-minute, where it's going to go now? We're going into a pennant. I ignore all of that. The one thing I want to know is, are we in a bull market, or is the bull market over? And effectively, this moment here on July 21st, 22nd, when we broke above and we hit this first blue box above the falling wedge, I went bullish, and I have not once yet changed my sentiment, and I'm not going to change it until I get probably near the top. I'll try to be ahead of the top, but anyways, our goal is only to understand the beginning of the market and the end of the market. We are in the exact middle. This was a middle reaccumulation range within this market sentiment. And now, boom, 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 3 touches on this rising gradient channel. So although the price is moving day over day over day here, this sentiment from this moment here was the most important. That July 20th to July 25th approximately, that was one of the key indicators in pretty much all of the market that we're going to continue up higher, and we're going to hit new all-time highs in every asset. So now that we've had, boom, higher low, higher low, higher low, and followed by higher high, higher high, higher. These are all extraordinarily bullish. We will be at new all-time highs for Bitcoin. I've been saying since this date, 25th of July, when we broke above this channel. And again, remember, I changed my mind really quickly. As soon as we didn't close below, I'm like, well, the spring's gone. That was it. Low volume spring. We're bullish now. And that's what you want. You want to be able to find the market indicators that say, are we bullish or is this done for a bit? And that's effectively it. The reason why we do all this study, this day over day practice of technical analysis, isn't because I'm trying to buy here and sell here and buy here and sell here and buy here and sell here and buy here. No, that would be fucking annoying. I would lose my goddamn mind. But as a good investor, being able to tell the difference between the bull market or the potential of a bear market is in the heat of the moment of phase C, D, and E. And now we have all the indicators that phase E is well on its way. We will see new all-time highs for Bitcoin within the coming months. Now, I want to make some final conjecture around Bitcoin before we go into another area. What I do suspect we'll see is something like a flag. We'll probably jump up to 60,000. We'll have a flag back down to 52,000 like this. And then this will be the finalization of our, I guess this first part of this SOS and LPS phase. So you have an SOS and an LPS back down to 48,000. And then I believe we'll continue much higher into new all-time highs. Now, a lot of people have been trying to say, oh, well, this is a dead cat bounce. You know, the top for Bitcoin was $55,000. Well, that's great, but I think that's just noise. And I think that that noise is very well clarified at this particular moment, exactly right here, that everyone at this moment should have gone effectively long. We'll use that as a better term. Now, in every asset class, boom, we see that across the table. Same here with Ethereum. A different structure on Ethereum. So not identical, but as you can see, this beautiful reaccumulation range here. There's a few key moments we've had over the last few months that really kind of kicked us off. But this final stage here in the private group, we've gone over this. We've gone over this on all of the live videos. This moment here that I have circled in blue, this was the final backup reaccumulation phase. So again, notice how the scale invariant nature of a trading range starts. Okay, well, here's a big trading range. This is like a sexy accumulation range. And then this is a much smaller scale invariant trading range. So again, look what you can find. You can actually find all the inherent structures and pieces of the larger trading range, but with significantly less reliability, right? This would have approximately been the spring, your LPS, and then now we're into a new phase of SOS. So because of this, I guarantee we're going higher for Ethereum. Now, how much higher? You know, we could make conjecture from this point, and we have, and it's around $6,000 to $9,000 on kind of the extreme blowout. But we'll have to remember that this is the midway of the market. For those of you that have been here when I think you should have got here, it was when Bitcoin or Ethereum was back near approximately $380. I was screaming on my videos, this is the bull market, guys. This is where you go long. All this is like, you should be buying all of this. And that was the start of the bull market. This was the start of the bull market way back here. So when we get to these larger accumulation ranges that are already up effectively 10x from the finalization of the last trading range, what we need to remember is that there's not a whole lot of room for upside left. Now, everyone wants to think at this part that you're going to get another 10x because we will see that in other areas of the market. We had a 40x from Star Atlas. Just really quickly, let's go look at this part. So again, thank you all for joining us. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a little something here. Okay, this is Star Atlas. Star Atlas is a really great idea behind a video game, and the blockchain gaming sector, the NFT sector, we know was going to be huge, right? Star Atlas came out swinging. Well, this is, I guess, they're only charting the 1 day data, so it doesn't really give us the time frame. But from the IDO to the launch, I'm pretty sure it was something like 30x, 40x. If you go to Twitter here, I screen captured some of the gain growth, and it was around 4,000%, which is approximately 40x, right, from the IDO, right, from the day of the launch. So there were difficulties. It was a very, very popular launch. Great, right out the gate. Here's another tweet from Star Atlas. We'll just share that. They're going to have a Discord, so if you want to chat with them, jump in their town hall Discord meeting. But while we're here, what I want to go over is this ridiculous price growth, and the sentiment of heads I win, tails I only lose. There it is. Star Atlas, 4,800% is actually even higher than that today. It's almost double that. Now, this is what asymmetry looks like. This is where you can make a small bet and it turns out to be an enormous win. And this one happened very quickly. Now, because of the speed of this, what I want to go over, and let's go back to Ethereum here, is use some conjecture that what you end up getting is this really big market growth. usually a mid-cycle market reaccumulation, a blow off top, and then a much larger reaccumulation cycle. So for Ethereum, we've already had our explosive growth. The fact that we're in a trading range now that's moving upwards and going to hit new all-time highs, we're very limited in how high we can go from where we are. Now, you say, oh, well, how do you know that? Well, I don't. But what we're doing is using a previous very large amounts of data, technically, on how a lot of this stuff works. So one of the things I like to do for this mid-cycle interpretation is take a look at the fibs based off of our larger trading range. So the majority of our trading range is actually here, not the top of the peak out, but this range, as you can see, it co-aligns with the 1 and the 618 effectively. So the trading range is the 1 and the 618, something like this that I've just drawn out in the white lines, all the way back down to the bottom of the spring effectively. So we're very easily going to get to 4,500, right? Now, this is where I think we start to peak out. It's probably around 7 grand. Now, the crypto market always does crazy crap, and this is why you never really want to think too much about getting the exact market cycle and part right. What's going on here? Okay, but there is room again for higher potentials, and we talked about this in our previous videos, which are somewhere between 8 and 10 grand. Now, again, when we're in this rather risky area, the market, yes, it still has room for maybe a 2 to 3x. Like, let's say it goes to 12 grand, which would just be ridiculous. It's still a 200% gain from where we are. That's about the most we'll get because we're already up 7x from where we are today. So in the later part of the market here, don't get too greedy. We're definitely near the end of this cycle, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll change my mind and I'll let you know as soon as that happens. But based off what we're seeing with Bitcoin here, this overly bullish SOS rising gradient bottom here, I suspect we're going to see new all-time highs probably by October. And then Ethereum here as well, we've already broken out. Ethereum has led the way in this final reaccumulation cycle too, and it's a perfect example. Ethereum has done this every time in this market cycle. It has led the cycle by a few weeks. So it's very likely, and again, guys, this is not a dead cat bounce. You do not have dead cat bounces that come into the previous highs. Like, that's not how a dead cat bounce works. A dead politician bounce does not bounce that high. Trust me. So we are definitely in a bull market. Everyone should be super excited. So let's go over the rest of our asset interests here. This is 1inch. What I like about 1inch here, more so than a fundamental level, because although I do believe 1inch has great fundamentals, is that this is a beautiful technical setup. We're right in that we just finished the falling bull flag, I believe, in this rising this widening megaphone here as well. So I believe in very short order, 1inch is going to jump up to the $4.60 mark. Now, why is this important? You're telling me, well, TO and Solana is already up from the breakout of its box. Solana is already up 200%. Well, that's great, but you want to generally be in the move during this part here, where you're in the trading range, finding the identifying factors for the fact that shit is going to blow up soon. And that's what was so great about Avalanche for us. Avalanche, like if you compare Avalanche and Solana side by side here, let's just do a percentage gain. From the trading range itself to the price where we are today, Avalanche is at 140%. At its peak, it was 190. And with Solana, from its trading range to where we've broken out to today, it's actually very similar. Right? So from the breakout of the trading range in Solana at approximately $45, boom, 200% gain. So Solana is like clearly one of the lead performers. But again, look at the trading ranges and understand how important it is to recognize these characteristics, because they make a huge difference in your investment thesis. And if you're like me and you get bored every now and then, you can actually make trades. And I don't suggest you trade. I think investing is the best way to go. But look how uniform all of this is. Even Serum the other day, falling wedge, trading range, boom, breakout SOS, back LPS, boom, SOS. We're going to see new all-time highs for Serum as well. You do not have dead cat bounces that bounce into previous all-time highs. It's not how a dead cat bounce works. Now, maybe if we had turned around and started to drop here and then did this, this would have been horrible news. I drew us into the negative there. That would never happen. But again, you could have. There are times when these things could do that change, and it didn't happen. And you go, oh my God, it was a phase C. This actually ended up being an upthrust and a distribution. That's why phase C can be so important to understand. So what's next on the list? Cardano. Everyone's a big fan of Cardano. Again, let's just ignore everything and focus on price movement. Cardano has done 120% price movement. Solana, 200%. Avalanche, 190%. I just called it Avalanche, like Avalanche. Avalanche is the company we looked at that helps do launch pads for Avalanche projects. So Cardano, again, I think we're actually going to form another reaccumulation cycle, which is just feels like madness to think. Again, people always ask about taking profits. You know, although I think that you should really only be trading fiat for assets, not really trading assets for fiat, because then it means you did something wrong in your revenue generation building process. We need to understand that if all of a sudden you're up 10x, just take your principal out. It's super simple. You're like, okay, if I invested 10 grand and it's worth $100,000, if I just take out the 10 grand, there's no way I can lose now. All I end up with is more assets, regardless of what the price of that asset is. So with something like Cardano, again, we're in the midway of the market. We're going to get to some of what I believe the peaks to be here pretty soon. We'll go over this one more time. We talked about the next, what I believe to be the peaks for Cardano was somewhere between $3 and $5. And this is where I believe the market cycle will basically end. You'll be like, oh my God, and it won't, and it'll go to like 7 or something. You'll be like, oh my God, Tio, you're wrong. It's going to go to $50. Then it'll do this for 2 years. I've seen this happen so many times. One of the fun ways to do that is by continuing to go over our studies. Again, Solana, beautiful execution of this falling wedge explosion through the middle of the box trading range. Again, you can see the powerful performance of the rising gradient bottom for Solana here. I believe we are having the same thing for Bitcoin on it, but a different function of its LPS. So I think we're going to see big moves out of Bitcoin soon. Same with Ethereum, again, but Ethereum is already leading the way. But notice this reaccumulation channel is perfectly horizontal, whereas again with Bitcoin, we are seeing a rising gradient bottom. Now again, when you get to these massive monolithic growth potentials, we're like, oh, it's a 40 billion, 100 billion, hundreds of billions of dollars. You have to know that it gets harder and harder to go higher and higher. But again, perfect execution throughout the entirety of this trading range. I said this is these are still good spots to accumulate Ethereum. I bought more Ethereum there because we just had all the identifying factors that this was a reaccumulation after decline, and this final backup phase was going to lead us into bullish areas. Link, another beautiful area as well. It looks like we are finalizing the horizontal trading range outside of the backup of its box effectively. I believe Link will probably jump up to $35, $40. It's going to be hard to say how much higher Link can go. It could peak out here, and we could see this as a much larger part of a top throughout time. But again, remember, Link's been a bull market for quite some time. I know it's a great product. I think Link is technically what some people would use the layman term of calling a blue chip. It is a very valuable product in this sector, and it provides value to this sector. So I see it maintaining that over the next few years. So price is almost irrelevant. Again, I think long-term investment strategies here that basically try to rule out the noise by long-term investing is going to yield the best results. But nonetheless, FTM was added to the list. There's a few others that I've been watching closely, probably more for my interest in the next market cycle. Again, when I think we're in the middle, it's always good to plan for the next decade. And people are like, oh yeah, we're going to $1 million Bitcoin. But do you care? Well, it's just fun. It's great to learn. I've actually been able to be more and more successful because of that learning process. So very exciting to see all of this bullish momentum. Nice to see 1 inch again here. I think 1 inch is just about to pop right here, probably within the next week. And again, we're seeing it, all the indicators in the market, same for Ethereum here too. So really, really nice to see. Congratulations to everyone who's been calm, patient, doing their homework, and really watching the validity of this thesis play out time and time again. What's fun here is that although this moment in phase C, which I always talk about, is the flip of a coin, it can very quickly go either way. The moment that we closed above the point of control here on every asset for these trading ranges, that was game on, ladies and gentlemen. This moment here, this blue circle that we drew in, and we're like, okay, that's it, we're bullish. For those of you who remember that video, I'm like, I'm bullish, I don't care what anyone says. It's not a dead cat bounce, we're going higher. This was that moment, and there's a reason for it. And you can really, really increase your confidence about the markets if you understand why these trading ranges work. It's not because we're going through technical analysis, it's because the human psyche is built off some really simple indicators known as fear and greed. So we're going to kind of finalize, before I go into some of your guys' thoughts and questions, some of those thoughts today. So this is the crypto fear and greed over index over time. We are running at moderate greed right now. We are not in extreme greed. And if you look back here, between the months of November through basically May, we were in extreme greed. We are pretty much in moderate greed right now. When we go into new all-time highs, this is going to jump up into that fear or that greed index, and we'll probably peak out for the another month or two before dropping back down into greed as well. So this is always a fun understanding, because when we're looking at the trading ranges, it's very easy to think that there's some fundamental underlying price movements, and the only fundamental is actually human consciousness. It's how people feel on a day-to-day basis. It's been one of the most fascinating parts of the lesson over the last year for me, is that when we identified the trading range of Bitcoin at the very bottom of the spring on March 11th, 2020, it's because of the fucking pandemic. It's because people were ultimately super freaking scared. And that's how you can tell where we are in the market, is literally by people's emotions. And we think it has to do with price and fundamentals of Bitcoin, but it does not. It has everything to do with how people feel about the markets on the long term. That really decides the kind of price. Now, how the floors and how the tops peak out, again, this has much more to do with long-term fundamental sentiment. But nonetheless, I think this is a really important part to understand. What we're looking at in the trading ranges is actually the human psyche itself. So that's a great way to look at that. Manga token. This looks like an interesting area of accumulation, I suspect here. Currently at a 74% gain from some of the initial entries. But this looks like a giant accumulation range. I'm going to be really interested to see how this plays out. We saw something kind of similar with Fever too, where all of us, it had this like 10-day accumulation range, and then all of a sudden it was up 10x or some crazy shit. And what we've seen now that we've seen a 40x out of Star Atlas from the IDO, you start to think to yourself, okay, seems more and more likely. So we'll leave the last part of today's episode for questions from you guys. Oh, I wanted to go over one more thing. Just really quickly, the Glassnode data, we do see that there's a continual decrease of Bitcoin on the open exchanges, which is again going to lead to more volatility. We just had another big chunk taken off in the last 24 hours. We're in a bull market. We're still in the bull market, so enjoy that, and we'll finalize today's episode with some thoughts and questions. So let's take a look here. Brado Jacko says, Tio, you say long-term invest, but you sell after the last leg up and wait. No. Again here, my only core function is to make sure that I can run my businesses without needing to touch my assets. At that point, the problem most people make is that they think that they should be buying Bitcoin to make fiat, to have fiat to spend on their regular life. But what they haven't understood is that one of the best ways to do something is to actually generate fiat through producing something valuable for your community. And then through that process, go into an asset acquisition mode and do that for decades. So although I suggest taking profits so that you can maintain your businesses, I say that you should be growing a business every time I say that. Not like, oh, I'm going to take my profits so I can buy stuff. You should take your profits so you can invest in business, whether it's your business or other people's business. This is the one time you should be caring what other people's business is necessarily. I think that what's interesting is that it's not about like too many people think they're going to buy high, like buy low and sell high in the middle of a market, and you're going to fuck that up, and you're going to probably just end up losing money by trying to get in and out of the market. So again, although I think you should make sure you have capital to make sure your businesses can function, you should have a business. First off, that's what that means when I say that. Hey, for business operations, well, if you don't have a business and you're just investing, where's the money coming from? Well, most people, well, I've got the money to invest, so I make more money and I sell it high and I buy back low. No. You're going to lose that game in your first 5 years. You should focus on the strategy that's going to work every fucking time. Yes. So more so than focus on like selling for the legs up effectively, that should not really be part of your strategy you could buy the top and continue to buy all the way down to the bottom. Your monthly strategy should be exactly the same. So again, it really has more to do with how you manage your business. That's what I think there. Brado, Jacko. Did you discuss Aave at all? I did not, but I like Aave. VET and VTHO are going to surprise everyone. Everything's going to surprise everyone. That's the one fun part about a bull market. It is extraordinarily bullish in almost all assets. Have you been looking into a position on OMI? I don't even know what that is. Any thoughts on AMP? Again, guys, most of this stuff, the price, everything's going to go up in a bull market, so I don't really care. What I'm going over are the things that we have spent a long hours doing due diligence, research, studying, and then sharing with you, right? So if I'm looking at Avalanche and not VET, it's because I've vetted Avalanche more than I vetted VET, and it's because that's where the focus goes, generally where my attention is. So could VET outpace Avalanche? Maybe, right? But I've spent my time focusing on this area, and I don't try to be like most people. That would be horrible of me. What I try to do is focus on what I'm interested in, and that has yielded me massive results. And I ignore everything else. So that may not be great for you because you want me to know what I think about the price movements. What you should do is actually go and study all the things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. That way you can make your own assertions based off the valuable information that we share day over day over day. And also remember, ladies and gentlemen, the disease of the early investor comes from the lack of education and over-emotional trading. And if you want the cure to those things, the easiest way to do it is by joining a group and a mastermind of people who are day over day learning and educating themselves. And you could do that by going to arcanebear.com/private. So if you consider yourself adventurous and you like trying new things, go to arcanebear.com/private. There is a no-risk money-back guarantee. If you sign up for the private group and you do not like it for some reason, we'll just give you your money back because that's your own problem. We provide massive amounts of alpha in this group. Again, Star Atlas is just a great example. Here, again, we had one member who invested $60. It is worth $8,000 today. If you can't find value from a membership over the course of a year that only costs $750 with the upside potentials of 40x, that's your fault, not ours. So we'll happily give you your money back. This is Teal with the Arcane Bear. I will take just a few more questions with you guys. Rolando Adrian Rodriguez, that's definitely a Latin name. In Wyckoff we trust, but verify. Make sure you're doing your homework and verifying where we are. I want all of you to be able to do that. Your channel has made a huge impact on my life. Well, thank you, Rolando. I appreciate hearing that. I love sharing this stuff. So it's a lot of fun for me. Abrado says, how much would you sell? I already have my next two business plans set, so I don't necessarily need to sell anything. That's a hard question. Everyone's different. Everyone's at a different place in their life. If there was like a one size fits all to this, there would be like, oh, hey, just follow exactly what I do and you'll do really well. And that doesn't exist. The things that we know that will do really well is just buying fucking assets and not selling them. One of the funnest articles that we've ever gone over on this channel, I think, is that the best investors are dead. There is so much evidence that people who just accumulate and don't sell outpace those people who buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell and think, oh, I'm going to catch the market top and I'm going to rebuy more of the market bottom. No, you don't. You won't. You'll fuck all of that up. Okay? You're going to make all the mistakes in the early days that don't allow you to do that. The first 5 to 10 years of your investment strategy should just basically be buy and study. Buy and study. And if you see these astronomical gains and for the first time in your life you can afford to buy your house, pay off your medical bills, buy your mom a car or something, do that. But in terms of asset acquisition, for the majority of your life, it should just be acquisition. And if you need more money, find a way to build a better business. That's my sentiment. And then you'll have more money to keep investing every month, and then you'll fucking guaranteed win this game by making millions upon millions of dollars by following a simple strategy. That's my sentiment. I don't know what that is for you. It could be different. Maybe you want to start a website that sells e-commerce stuff. I don't know. Let's see, just a few more quick questions. Avador says, I saw your Star Atlas interview and signed up for their IDO. I managed to get whitelisted. It was a life-changing event. My head is still spinning. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, it doesn't get any better than that. Thank you, Avadora. That was a great, I'm going to read this again because I love stuff like this. I saw your Star Atlas interview. I signed up for the IDO. I managed to get whitelisted. It was a life-changing event. You only need one moment every year that brings in massive levels of serendipity. One of the things I've learned over the last few years is that what you need to do is focus. That's why I like meditation. That's why I trust, I don't listen to any other YouTubers. Like, well, what about this guy saying this other thing? I don't fucking listen to anybody else, because then I miss what I'm focused on. And I'm trying to chase 8 other things when all I needed to do was just this one thing. Often all you need to do is just buy and walk away. Go and do something else for the next 5 years. Just keep buying and walking away. And at least know how to access your assets. So Ava, congratulations. I love this. What a great comment. I can't believe it was, I love hearing that you had a life-changing event from following your own intuition and having it pay off. And understanding that this tails I only lose a little, heads I win thesis works for so many areas of life. Nice. And the Hemi 426 is my 14-year-old has a crypto wallet you'd be proud of. I'm a proud dad. Congratulations teaching your children about investments early. And one last one, Ruben Martinez says, I love it when you're on Around the Blockchain. Going on again anytime soon. Yes, thank you. September 10th, I will be on back again. Looking forward to that. Glad that Ben has me back on the show. You know, again, I never really watched Ben prior to be inviting on that show, to be invited on the show. As like I said, I don't watch or listen to anybody else. It's my own thing. Do whatever you guys feel is right for you. But I actually really like Ben. No, I didn't think that not like I thought I wouldn't like him, but you know, when you see the YouTube personality versus like, you know, we've had some chats before and after, and like you get to meet more of the person than when we're on, like we've personally like we'll butt heads on purpose just to make sure there's like a little bit of a, oh, well, I disagree with you. Ben's like, well, I disagree with Arcane Bear. I was like, I love that. That's the fun part of having a good conversation and then being able to be personable afterwards. So really grateful for them to have me invite me back on the show. It's a chance to talk about things I don't normally talk about on these episodes. Like I don't normally go over daily news. Like I saw some news about SEC researching. That's the stuff we get to talk about with them. So I look forward to that. Okay, last questions. What is your take on inflation? I actually think deflation is a much less talked about, much more important conversation to be having, because that's changing the world. Right now, kids in the Philippines are playing a video game and making more money playing the video game than their parents who have owned a store for 10 years in a community where they own the land in the store. So what the f are we doing? Deflation is the biggest conversation over the next 10 years. Who cares about inflation? They can probably just print infinitely to try to keep up with the fact that the deflationary nature of technology has started to go exponential. Rolando Adrian says, I think this deserves some music. Well, great. Because someone just said they had a life-changing gain from Star Atlas to celebrate, we'll leave you guys off with a little bit of... Congratulations everyone who participated, and congratulations to those of you who are participating. I think one of the most enjoyable parts of this whole experience is the growth of community. And for those of you that have not yet meditated ever in your life, just do it. Don't stop, don't wait, don't think, oh, I need the perfect time or the perfect day. In fact, with anything, if you are hesitating to do something that you think you should be doing, like, oh my God, 50 grand, what should I do? Should I spend, like, how should I, just start. Whatever lowest amount that you feel okay risking to get yourself in the game, to start playing, do that. When I first started playing guitar, I picked up every single guitar I could get my goddamn hands on, every single instrument. I will, if I see it and I've never played it, I will try playing it, because there's no risk to me other than sounding bad. And clearly, I don't care about that. So stay with the Arcane Bear. Thank you all for joining us. Go out there, have a good time. I'm off to a little retreat center today. Oh yes, and for the private bear family, just as a heads up, we are codifying all of the details around the private bear family get together. So it's gonna be, we've got around 30 tickets. It's gonna be a private, like 5-day event with meditation, yoga, access to a bunch of fun things here in Costa Rica. For the private bear family that wants to go, message us in the den. We have a very limited number of tickets to do so. So we're going to only ask the private members first. I'm sure that will probably sell the entire event out. Got a few good friends coming down for the event as well. I've already chatted with Nicholas Merton from Data Dash, who's a good buddy of mine, and a few other people whose names you'll probably recognize, but until those are also solidified, I won't mention them. But something to keep in mind, your mind on. We're going to be doing it in April. Again, we'll ask the private bear members first because I think we'll probably sell out all the tickets. Again, it's going to be focused on meditation. We'll probably do we'll have the ability to do 2 to 4 hours of meditation a day. Not everyone has to do that. You guys, there'll be other activities. We've got like rappelling and horseback riding. I think there's even paintballing within the site that we've got too. Oh, and just for fun, we were actually thinking about doing something like this. This would be a much broader community perspective, but just in case you guys are interested, we'll take a look at this just as a conversation piece. This is a chunk of land. It's there's around 20 parcels, each of them around 2 to 4 acres each. We've got around 20 parcels that would be for sale for around 150 grand each. And technically we accept crypto. We are pondering maybe doing them each as NFTs so that you could buy the lot property ownership via OpenSea potentially. We're just kind of fucking around with ideas, but if you think these are interesting ideas, you let us know. Anyways, this is Tea with the Arcane Bear. Look at this beautiful bull market right in front of us. Enjoy the day, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you guys again on the next episode.